The moment the gavel struck the bench, the sound echoed through my skull like a gunshot. My throat was dry, my palms damp, and yet all I could think was, how did I get here? Across the courtroom, Emma sat poised, her hair pulled into that neat chignon she always wore when she wanted to appear untouchable. She didn't glance at me. She didn't have to. Her lawyers had already painted me as a cold, unfeeling man who had built a fortune without ever considering his wife's sacrifices. They said she deserved half. Half of everything I had spent a lifetime creating. Half of the late nights, the risks, the sleepless weeks, the moments when I thought the business would collapse and take me with it. Half of my blood. And yet, I didn't flinch. Because in the pocket of my jacket sat a single envelope. The first crack in my marriage wasn't loud. It was subtle. Like the way Emma's laughter no longer reached her eyes. Or how she began taking weekend yoga retreats that left no trace. No receipts, no photographs, no tired glow of someone who'd just stretched her body into peace. I told myself she needed space, that after 20 years together, it was normal for us to grow in different directions. I had work. She had whatever she needed. But then I found the receipt. A hotel bill, folded carelessly into the glove compartment of her car. My name wasn't on it. Another man's was. My chest tightened as I read the signature, Daniel. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She just stared at me, her jaw tightening, her silence heavier than any confession. And then days later she hit me with the papers. Divorce, claiming half of my company, my savings, my home. I should have broken then. I should have begged, screamed, something. But instead I went quiet. I remembered every lesson I had ever learned in business. Never reveal your cards until you're ready to play them. Mr. Hale, the judge said now, dragging me back into the present. Do you have anything to add before we proceed with settlement? I stood slowly, the envelope in my hand. My heart thudded so hard I thought the entire courtroom could hear it. Yes, Your Honor, I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. I have evidence. Emma's head snapped toward me, her eyes widening for the first time in weeks. Her attorney shifted uncomfortably, sensing something they hadn't prepared for. The judge gestured. Approach. I walked forward, laid the envelope on his desk. He slid it open, slid the photographs out. His brows arched, then unexpectedly he laughed. A low, incredulous laugh that filled the silence of the room. The night I prepared that envelope is carved into my memory. I sat in my study, the smell of bourbon clinging to the air, the only light coming from the lamp on my desk. The photograph stared back at me, Emma and Daniel, hand in hand, walking into the hotel she claimed was for yoga retreats. Emma leaning into him, her smile so wide, so alive. A version of her I hadn't seen in years. I wanted to tear the photos apart. I wanted to burn them, erase them, pretend it wasn't real. But I couldn't. Because these weren't just pictures. They were leverage. They were proof. And in the divorce world, leverage is worth more than love. What's this? The judge asked now, though his grin suggested he already knew. Evidence. I replied calmly, though my insides churned. That Mrs. Hale has been unfaithful for years. That her claims of sacrifice and devotion are fabricated. Emma's face drained of color. She shifted in her chair, gripping the edge of the table as though it might anchor her. Her attorney leaned in, whispering furiously, but it was too late. The judge had already seen enough. Half, the judge said, his voice tinged with mockery as he looked at Emma. You wanted half, Mrs. Hale? From the man you betrayed. He shook his head, still smiling faintly. I don't think so. The sound that escaped Emma was somewhere between a gasp and a sob. She turned toward me, eyes blazing with something I couldn't name. Anger, desperation, maybe even regret. But I didn't look away. For once, I let her sit in the silence she had always used against me. Walking out of the courthouse, the air felt lighter, though inside I was anything but. People imagine victory feels clean. It doesn't. It feels like ashes on your tongue, like you've survived a fire but lost the home. I had protected what I built. She wouldn't get half. But the cost? 20 years of memories tainted. The woman I once loved reduced to a stranger who smiled brighter for someone else. That night, alone in my house, I poured myself another glass of bourbon and stared at the photos again. Not out of triumph, but because I needed to remember. I needed to understand how the woman who once whispered forever in my ear had turned into the one who tried to dismantle my life piece by piece. And maybe deep down, I needed to face the truth I'd avoided for years, that somewhere along the way, we both stopped being husband and wife. She sought comfort in another man. I sought refuge in my work. By the time betrayal walked in, love had long since walked out. The judge's laugh still rang in my ears, but it didn't bring joy. It brought finality, the kind that sits in your chest like a stone. Because the real question wasn't whether I had won. It was whether there had ever been anything left to lose. And as I drained my glass, staring at the ghost of my marriage in photographs and court transcripts, I realized the cruelest part of betrayal isn't what someone takes from you. It's what they leave behind.